What we do here is go back.
Hello there, and welcome to the Glory Hunters. Today, we're going to be doing a Champions League striker tier list. Now, I'm only going to be doing the teams that finished in the playoffs and above, because I don't watch the likes of Red Star Belgrade or Slovan Bratislava enough to be able to rank where the hell their strikers would go. But with the playoffs and above, I reckon I've seen enough of these boys to be able to rank them. So let's kick things off with Darwizzy. Now, I actually really like Darwin Núñez. I think he has moments where he shows himself to be quite a good striker, and then he goes in front of goal and absolutely spoons it wide. He runs around like a madman, but that finishing ability is tough. And obviously missed his penalty the other day for Liverpool, so I think B tier. Maybe I'm a little biased there, but I think he is a decent level striker. I honestly think he's not that bad. He just has some terrible misses which make him look so much worse than he is. Just like Kai Havertz, another guy who all round he can be pretty good. He can be an absolute ghost. He can miss an absolute sitter. But I think there's still enough of a player there at times that B, I think, should be alright for Havertz. I think they're very similar sort of guys where there's talent there. They have some really good games. They have some really good moments. And they have some absolutely shameful moments. Marcus Thuram. A tier, I think, for Marcus Thuram. He's quite a good striker. He's been banging in the goal since joining Inter Milan. Just an all-round good option. I think he would succeed in any of the top leagues. You know, he's quite well built physically, but has the pace as well. So you'd think he would do well. And, you know, good finisher, good all-round play, good striker. Now, Lautaro Martinez, that is a striker I really, really like. And that might shock some people to see him being put into the S tier, because some people seem to think he's bad, because those people are idiots. Lautaro Martinez, since 2019, has been a 20-goal a season striker. You know, and the thing is with Lautaro Martinez is he's a good goal scorer. He gets a lot of goals, but that's not the main reason that makes him good. He's not a big, his goal scoring isn't the main thing about him. His all-round play is absolutely phenomenal, if you ask me, right? I think he's technically a very good striker. He's a brilliant presser. He's a very intelligent passer. He's a decent enough dribbler. He is a really good striker that I think gets severely underrated because he plays for Inter in Serie A, and not enough people get to watch him week in, week out and see how good of a striker Lautaro actually is. I think he's genuinely one of the best strikers in world football, led into titles, got them to, helped get them to the Champions League final. You know, he stepped up for Argentina in the Copa. He's really good, and you should really watch him more if you don't think he is, because you will change your mind if you watch a lot more Inter. I think Lautaro is S tier, legitimately. Alvarez, A tier, I think. He's almost an S tier striker. I'm not 100% sure if he is quite S tier yet. You know, he's a very similar player to Lautaro, but more focused on the goal scoring than the playmaking and sort of link-up play that Lautaro brings, but still a very good player, very technically sound, decent in the air for his size, being only 5'7", I believe. Good goal scorer, good player. Could maybe make an argument to push him up a tier, but I think he's high-end A for me. I don't think he's quite as elite as someone like Lautaro Martinez or his striking teammate Antoine Griezmann. Antoine Griezmann, one of the best attackers in world football for years now. Fantastic for France, fantastic for Atletico Madrid. He creates, he scores. He's technically one of the best. He's just an all-round very, very good player, Antoine Griezmann. A serious difference maker. And I think it's hard to put him anywhere lower than S tier. He's just very, very good. Patrick Schick makes A tier for me, I think. Not doing quite as well this year as last year, like all Bayer Leverkusen players, but you know, he's very good. He's quite good. His link-up play again is what makes him better than some of the other players you're going to see later who are also good goal scorers like Patrick Schick. You know, he had some phenomenal moments for the Czechia at the international stage, really stepped up big time for Bayer Leverkusen, and he's been one of the legitimately good strikers. His only issue is injuries. Injuries hold him back a bit, and I think he would be a player that would be a lot more appreciated if he didn't have his injury struggles, because you could be seeing some really big number seasons from him if he was fit and available every single week. His strike competition, I suppose, because they only really play one. Victor Boniface. Oh, I'm not sure if I want to put him A or not. He's not as good as Patrick Schick, but he is quite good in his own right. He's better than these two. We'll put him high B for now. I have a feeling that he's not going to be good enough for A tier for me come the end of this. These might drop down, who knows? He might move up. I don't know yet. But I get the feeling like he's going to be high B. He's not as good as Patrick Schick. I don't think he offers as much going forward, but he's still a very solid option. He's very good. You know, he's a nice goal scorer for someone, and certainly has potential to be able to become more of an A-tier striker with, you know, some more development. He's still a younger sort of striker, but I think high B probably works for him. Jonathan David. I think he's low A tier for me, Jonathan David. I think, you know, good two-footed striker, been fantastic in France for years, but it's France, so it's always a bit tough to judge how good of a player he is when they're performing in the 5th best league in Europe. But I think Jonathan David's good. I think he's had some good moments in the European stage to justify being like a low A-tier pick. I think he's better than Victor Boniface, personally. But he's not as good as Patrick Schick, Thuram or Alvarez. So I think low A probably works. Ollie Watkins. A-tier for me. I think Ollie Watkins has proven himself for the last few seasons that he is a legitimately good striker. Just a good goal scorer. He's quick. He's got some decent technical ability for him. 6'2", and he used to be a winger and sort of moves centrally, and he's really come into his own as Aston Villa striker. You know, obviously Duran was meant to be the man to overtake him, but Duran still was only a bench player because Ollie Watkins is that good. He was still benching John Duran, and yeah, just a very solid, good goal-scoring option. Arsenal bid for him, failed. They could be potentially winning a league right now, catching up to Liverpool if they actually got Ollie Watkins, I think, because he certainly improves pretty much every single team in the world that doesn't have one of these top guys. Retegui. A tough one. He's having a really good breakout year for Atalanta. He wasn't too special before this year. He was obviously a good striker, showed potential to be good for the international team at Genoa, and moved to Atalanta and is having a really good year, to be fair. But I don't think he's justified A tier for me yet. I think scoring a bunch of goals in Serie A, but his team gets knocked out early on in the Champions League. Yeah, I think B's fair. He next season, if he carries on playing the way he is, I think Retegui will be in A tier. But because it's been less than one season of how good he's been, I think it's a bit early to be pushing him up into that higher tier for me. Whereas Serhou Guirassy, I think he was like in the same sort of situation as Retegui last season, where he was breaking through at Stuttgart, scoring a lot of goals, and it's like, okay, is this a one-season thing for Guirassy, or is he legitimately quite good? And he's carried on playing well for Dortmund. He's been a big part of their season so far, which hasn't been too impressive for Dortmund in the league, but he has been impressive. He's a good goal scorer, he's a good player. I think Guirassy has justified being one of the top strikers in Europe after an absolutely phenomenal season last year for Stuttgart. So many goals. So many. Only Harry Kane. If he wasn't in a league with Harry Kane, he would have easily been the Golden Boot winner last season for Stuttgart. So, yeah, good player, Guirassy. Kylian Mbappe, not much to say, is there? S tier. World Cup winner. Liga winner multiple times, got to a final, probably going to win his first Champions League this year, arguably the best player in world football, Ballon d'Or candidate, phenomenal. I hate him, but he is very good. Easy S tier for me. Just like this man, Harry Kane. Yeah, it's Harry Kane, right? He's going to break that trophy curse this year. He's going to win that Bundesliga. Maybe a Champions League. I don't think so, but maybe. He's scoring like a madman still. Creates chances. Link-up plays elite. He's elite in the air. He's elite with his feet. He's just elite. He is the perfect number 9 in my eyes. He does it all except for speed, but he doesn't need speed when he's so good at everything else at football. A man who is not so good at everything else in football, though, Tammy Abraham, D tier. I think Tammy Abraham is crap, personally. He has the technical ability of Romelu Lukaku with none of the finishing ability. He's 6'5", but he's not great in the air. Well, this is obviously compared to Champions League strikers, right? He's not absolutely hopeless, but I just think technically he's lacking. He's not a good passer. He's not great in the air despite his size. He's a very touch-and-go finisher. Tammy Abraham, D tier for me. However, the man brought in to replace him, Santiago Jimenez. Low A tier for me. I'm actually a big advocate for Santiago Jimenez. I think he's a very, very good striker. I know I sort of bashed Jonathan David for playing in Liga. Obviously, Eredivisie not even as good as Liga. But I think he showed under Arne Slot at Feyenoord that he is a very good striker, and he's already started well for AC Milan despite the fact that they suck. And I think he's going to go on to show himself now that he's in a bigger league to show that he is a legitimately good striker. I think he offers a lot up there. He's not just a goal scorer. I think his hold-up play, his link-up is good. I think he would have been a good signing for a lot of teams, and AC Milan have picked up a really good player there. I think I really like Santiago Jimenez personally. Luke de Jong, however, probably C tier. He's better than Tammy Abraham, but I don't know. I just think he's a limited striker personally. There's going to be some PSV fan out there who's going to absolutely cry at the fact I've put him behind Darwin Núñez and Kai Havertz, right? Because he's certainly a better finisher than those two, but he's only ever done it in the Eredivisie. He looked very poor when he left Eredivisie. I suppose he's got a bit of a cult status at Barca for scoring a couple of goals there, but it's not like he was good for Barcelona. He just scored some important goals for Barcelona. I just think, limited striker, good for the Eredivisie, not so good for outside the Eredivisie. Gonçalo Ramos, B tier, if you ask me. I'm not a big fan of Gonçalo Ramos personally. I think he was a bit of a disappointing pickup for Benfica. Showed promise at not for Benfica, sorry, for PSG. He was disappointing for he showed a lot of promise for Benfica. £60 million or euros from PSG is a lot of money, and I don't think they've had that return there for him. I think he shows some moments of brilliance, but overall, I think there's a reason he's getting benched for wingers. Obviously, they've been playing the front three of Barcola, Dembele, and Kvaradona, and then Desiree Doué comes in a lot. There's a reason they're not playing. They're only number 9, and it's because he's not that impressive. I think he's a solid striker option, but I don't think he's anything special. Personally, I'm not big on him. Pavlidis, Benfica. Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. Scores some goals. He can hold it up a bit. He's not a bad player. But, I don't think he really stands out in the Portuguese league. Like, obviously, he's one of the better strikers in the league, but I don't think he really stands out. Like, I don't think anyone's clamouring to sign Pavlidis from Benfica. I think that's his level. Benfica's his level, and I don't... Like, for me to be at least B tier, I think you've got to be... like pushing for those, like being a top striker in like one of the European top 5, which Pavlidis I don't think is. If he was to go to like the Premier League, I'd expect it to be for like an Everton, a team outside the relegation spots pushing that mid-table rather than a team pushing for Europe. And so yeah, Pavlidis C tier. Biret, low. Yeah, low B at the moment. This is very, very early days for him. He's banged in some goals for Monaco early in his career. But that is the thing. It's very early in his career. I think he's showing a lot of promise. He's a striker to look out for. If you're looking for young strikers to watch as potentials for bigger clubs in the future, like if you're an Arsenal fan wondering about a striker, check him out. He looks very promising. Very cool player. But... very, very early in his career, so he has a lot more to prove. So B tier for me. But, we could be talking about him up here in the years to come. So check Bira out. Breel Donald Embolo, I don't think is great either. He's certainly a better technical player than Tammy Abraham, and he did have a very, very good Euros. I think it was a couple of years back. But that is the highlight of his career. I think he's a fine striker for Liga, but I don't think he's anything special for Liga. He's not. He doesn't stand out at all. He doesn't score like Pavlidis and Luke de Jong can. I think he's not great, at least for a Champions League level. Champions League level, he's not great. Ludovic Ajouk. God knows how the French say his name. I like him, but I don't know how high I could put him realistically. Fuck it, it's my tier list. C tier. 6'6", big man, has good technical ability for a 6'6" striker. I think he would be the perfect plan B for a top team. If you're like an Arsenal or a Liverpool, Chelsea, Inter Milan, anyone like that, I think all of them would happily have him on the bench, I think. You're struggling to break down a team, whack on the big 6'6" man who, like I said, he's got pretty decent technical ability with his feet for a 6'6" man. So I think he's got that enough ability there to be able to play for one of these top teams as a backup option, obviously. He's never going to be starting for one of these top teams. But, yeah, I like him. I think he's a solid option. And, if I'm a big club, I'd be looking at him personally as a backup option. His strike partner, Abdullah Sima, less so for me. I'm not as big of a fan for Sima. Yeah, not a lot to say there, really. He was someone who was hyped up a bit very early in his career. I know West Ham were big linked with him. He might have signed for Brighton. He's obviously not at Brighton anymore, but not 100% sure there. But yeah, never really lived up too much. Obviously, decent job for Brest so far, but nothing special there if you ask me. Carranza. High C, I think. Below them, probably. Yeah, he's another one that I've not seen a lot of. Obviously, he was being benched by Santiago Jimenez before, so now that Jimenez is gone, it's now time for him to be able to step up for Feyenoord and maybe really show what he can do. But so far, He looks decent, but yeah, nothing special for me personally. Yet to see. He could prove himself to be a nifty player, but so far doesn't really catch my eye. Randall Kolo Muani. He's there with his other PSG boy, Gonçalo Ramos. But I think he's better. Really, really good at Eintracht Frankfurt. Goes to PSG, disappoints. He's looked pretty good for Juve so far, to be fair. You know, he could find redemption at Juve and find himself pushing up there. Like, if this was after his Frankfurt season, he'd be A tier for me. Yeah, he was really good there. But the fact he was so disappointing for PSG really brings him down. It really makes me question how good he is. But like I say, because he's started quite well for Juventus, I'm going to put him there. But certainly, if he can find his form again for Juventus, he'd be an A-tier striker. Dusan Vlahovic. I don't really like Vlahovic. And his finishing's been off this season. I don't think he's too special as an all-round striker. I think he's always been that poacher type where he's in the team because he scores goals, not because he contributes a lot to all-round play. And this season, his finishing has been very, very questionable. I know Juve fans aren't the happiest with his finishing this season. There's a reason why Juve felt the need to bring in Randall Kolo Muani in January, and it's because he's not been on his game, and his game isn't that impressive if he's not scoring goals. So, C tier for me. Daizen Maeda. Now, I could go very controversial with him. He's a hard one to rank because he plays in the Scottish League. And as we know, the Scottish League is absolutely horrendous level all round. However, in the Champions League, he's been very good. That Celtic attack is very nice. I really like Celtic's attack. And he's a big part of it. Since replacing Kyogo, with Kyogo obviously leaving in January, but Maeda was starting before that, he has really come into his own for Celtic up front. He is like the archetype of the modern Japanese player. When you look at that Japanese team, you think of how Japan play. It's high intensity, lots of pace, really hard pressers that really love to steal it and create chances out of nothing by just absolutely suffocating defences who just can't deal with how quick all these like little Japanese attackers are. And that is exactly what Maeda is. And that's exactly what Maeda does. And that is exactly what he did against Bayern Munich to cause some serious issues for Bayern, who are, you know, they're still in it. They're one of the favourites for the tournament, probably, and he caused some serious issues for them. I think he's like the way he's played in the Champions League for Celtic, he's an A-tier striker, legitimately. But because he plays in the Scottish League and the Champions League is only a few games here and there, it's hard to justify putting him that high just because at league level he's playing at a much lower level than all of these guys are. So, B tier for me. Like I say, off of pure Champions League performances, I think he's an A-tier striker. But, yeah, Scottish League sucks. So it drags him down. Erling Haaland. Who's ready for a controversial pick? Should have won a Ballon d'Or. Robbed of it by Lionel Messi. However, Man City's struggles, I think, have really exposed the big Norwegian. The worries were always there that if he's not scoring, if he's not being given the chances, what does he bring to the table? And with Manchester City really struggling this season, he's not getting those chances. And where's he been? He's an absolute ghost this season. Sure, he's still got some good goal-scoring numbers in the Premier League. Don't knock the goal-scoring numbers in the Premier League. But so many times this season, when Manchester City have been struggling for points and they've needed their big man to step up and win them points, he has not been there. He's simply not been there. And for me, someone who routinely has been letting down their side when they've really needed him, when he's meant to be one of the best strikers in world football, really drops him down out of that S tier for me. I think he seriously has damaged his reputation for me. He's really not a big game player for them so far. And he didn't really step up in the Champions League when they won it in that treble season. Did he score in the final? No. Where was he in the final? I don't know. He didn't really show up in the semis either. Ghost man. A. Top of A. But maybe he deserves to be a little lower. Fuck it. I like Alvarez more. Alvarez is going above him. Victor Gyökeres. He's scoring like an absolute madman this season. He plays in Liga Portugal. Yeah, I don't think he's quite S tier yet. If he moves to a top 5 league and carries on scoring and playing it the way he has been for Sporting, then he's an S tier striker. He looked phenomenal at Coventry. I really liked him at Coventry, and he continued to show the player he was at Coventry at Sporting at a high level at Liga Portugal. One of the best strikers in Europe this season, 100%. But like I say, he needs to go to that top 5 league and show what he can do in a top 5 league. He's S tier if he plays like that in a top 5 league, but till he does that, A tier for me. Gyökeres, yeah, cool player, cool celebration, good striker. Jutgla, he's Spanish. I know their J's are more like H's, like jalapeno. So Jutgla, I don't know. That's definitely not how you say it. I'm sorry, Spanish people, but yeah, he's alright. He's a decent striker for Bruges, scores goals there. He's had some decent moments in the Champions League. Not a bad striker at all, but, you know, I don't think he's a high-level striker at all. He moves to the Premier League, he's going to one of those bottom half sides. He's not going to a higher team. You know, he's only playing European football because he's at Club Bruges. But yeah, decent player. Decent. Now, the two that didn't make the playoffs, which I added because I wanted to, because I like them both, and they're both good. I watched a lot of them. It's Benjamin Šeško and Lois Openda. Šeško, for me, A tier. Class striker. Striker of the future. Chelsea should really sign him. Arsenal probably should as well, but I don't like Arsenal, so Chelsea sign him. Yeah, he's really good. Good with both feet. Extremely technically gifted. Big frame, good in the air, has an absolute powerhouse shot on him, class striker, really like him. He's potentially an S tier in the future. Yeah, Šeško, very good. Lois Openda as well, I do really like him. I think he's got good technical ability. Yeah. Good technical, good goal scorer. Dependent, class player. I'd trust him out wide if you needed him there. Really like him. Check these two out. Marco Rosa's an absolute fraud for not being higher in the league with these two, and Xavi Simons as an attack, which is absolutely insane. Potentially better than Bayern's attack. Big claim, I know. Especially for a team that's not even top 4 at the moment, I don't think. But yeah, these two are really good, and they're very fun. And finally, Robert Lewandowski. Obviously an S tier striker. I think Lewandowski is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. He's like Harry Kane. He's the perfect striker, right? His playmaking ability is second to none. He's an elite finisher. He's good in the air. He knows exactly where to be at all the times. Absolutely elite. Proven winner. Great goal scorer, one of the greatest strikers of his generation, absolutely robbed of a Ballon d'Or when they decided to end the season. You know, he should be a Ballon d'Or winner. In my eyes, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. Phenomenal. And that, right there, my Champions League striker tier list. Tammy Abraham sucks. Mbappe's pretty good. Erling Haaland, the biggest drop-off there. Probably the most controversial pick there, but, you know, feel free to cry about it in the comments if you want, but Erling Haaland's not that good. And, yeah. Thank you for watching.
Loud.